Hey, I just want to say welcome home and Merry Christmas. My name is Joel Thomas, and I'm the lead pastor here. Thank you to all of you who are joining us online. We've got people from Indiana and Illinois and Missouri and Texas and other parts of Colorado and across Nebraska. Can't forget our Nebraska family that's tuning in, and to everybody here, Merry Christmas. Oh my word, I'm so glad everybody's here. You know, it is strange, the things that we remember from childhood, right? The things that become kind of like memory worms in your brain. I was thinking recently, I was reflecting back to presents that I remember. Now, this may come as a surprise and to somewhat of a letdown for anybody in the room or watching online that has bought a child a present and is excited to give it to him tomorrow. The odds are they will not remember it later. Right, years from now, all the work, all the effort you put in, there's a good chance they don't remember it, because I could not remember all but one gift. I mean, genuinely. I sat and I racked my brain. What is that gift that I remember? And there's one gift that stands out from every others in my childhood. It was when I was roughly in kind of 6th grade, going towards 7th grade, and it was Christmas down in Tallahassee, Florida. See, my cousins lived down in Tallahassee, my uncle and all his kids. And my dad, he had a thing that he did. My mom just reminded me of this last week. Dad's one thing is he would pick each of us kids one gift. I'm the youngest of 3, and that was kind of Dad's thing. And Dad's gift to me that year was an electric razor. No joke, I was a swarthy 6th grader. Right, I'm just telling you, I had a 5 o'clock shout of the whole thing. But there's a reason, right, that this just kind of anchored in me. The more I thought about it, the more I reflected on it. This silly, right, electric razor is the one gift I remember from childhood. Why? Because as I said, I'm the youngest of 3. And down in Tallahassee that year, I was the youngest of all the boys, and my cousins are these big, strapping, like Marines and Navy guys, and then there's me, short, heavy set, bowl haircut, glasses. It's no joke, Josh. That's all for you, buddy. Right? And I was pretty convinced. See, I was at that time deeply shy, I was insecure, and I was convinced that I was unseen by most people in my life. I was rarely smart enough to get the gold star, and certainly not strong, fast, or athletic enough to be honored on any particular podium. And yet that gift, it held so much meaning for me. This gift, this silly gift of an electric razor from my dad. You see, the gift was a recognition of my value as a young man. You see, somehow, some way, it meant that my dad had saw that I had grown up enough, matured enough, and become enough of a man to warrant him spending his time and his money to specifically and intentionally purchase and present me with that gift. Because so much of my life, as I said, right, I was the youngest. I wasn't particularly fat. I was actually. I wasn't particularly fit. I wasn't all of these things. And so I just constantly figured I just wasn't enough. And I can remember having to hold back tears as I opened this up, this silly electric razor, because of all it spoke to in me. And I think it speaks to a question that all of us, we ask this question in one way, shape, or form. We ask it when we're young, and we ask it throughout our lives. And it's the question, am I enough? Women ask it, men ask it. Right? We go, am I pretty enough, lovely enough, handsome enough? Am I smart enough? Am I liked enough, pursued enough? Am I desired enough? Am I strong enough, brave enough, fast enough? Am I rich enough? Am I successful enough? Am I athletic enough? You know, and then you get older and life begins to change and you start to go, am I self-controlled enough? Am I open-minded enough? Am I informed enough? Am I, in fact, woke enough? Probably not. Am I intelligent enough? Am I well-read enough, self-aware enough, self-disciplined enough? Am I known enough? Am I seen enough? Am I supported enough? Am I forgiven enough? Am I loved enough? am I enough? Am I enough for me? Am I enough for others? Am I enough for a God I barely understand and I struggle to experience? Am I enough? I think we all ask this question, and tonight, here on Christmas Eve, I just have to tell you that Christmas is the reminder and the promise that you are, in fact, so much more than enough. Let me say it again. Christmas is the reminder and the promise that you are so much more than enough. No matter what you walked through those doors with, if you're sitting and watching this online, you have got voices in your head and around you that may be saying anything other than that. Hear this message from your Father in heaven that has wrapped and prepared this gift specifically for you. You are more than enough. How do we know? Because here's the deal. Something's value is determined by the resources willingly expended to possess it. That's how you know the value of something. My wife, she's a realtor, right? She'll work with homeowners that are selling their home and they're like, well, this is what my house is worth. Here's the secret. It's worth whatever someone will pay to buy it. That declares its worth. And that's true of small, simple, silly things and things as big as a house and things as meaningful as our very lives. Right? You go, man, simple things, right? I mean, it's why years ago, Action Comics #1, right? The first appearance of Superman, it sold for $3.2 million. Because that person said, no, that's enough for me. It matters that much. It's why years ago, a Horace Wagner baseball trading card from the early 1900s sold for $6.6 million. And you go, it's just a piece of paper, right? Why is it worth that? That person determined it was. Or maybe you like cars. And why years ago, the most expensive car ever sold at an auction was a 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO that in 2018, one car, by the way, sold for $48.4 million. Now, you and I, we can sit back and go, that's too much. But it's not for the person who paid the price. Because it's not just the money, right? It's the effort, it's the time, it's the planning. It's all that went into that purchase, that sacrifice, and the actions that align all the effort to demonstrate that value. And though we can sit back and go, that's too much, it's just not worth that. That's not our decision to make. No, the value is determined by the one who spent it, by what the purchaser was willing to sacrifice, to part with, to own it, to possess it, and to draw it close. And for that person, they have determined it's never too much for that price. Tonight, again, as I thought about this message, I actually began thinking about this message back in September and praying for each and every one of you, those online and here in this room. I said, Lord, what do they need to hear? What is important? Man, just as clearly as I can tell, man, the Lord said, man, just remind them that everyone would know that I love them so dearly much, right? It's true for you and it's true for me. Again, Christmas is the reminder and the promise that you are so much more than enough. Right, Matthew chapter 1. How do we know this? We go to Matthew chapter 1, and this is a passage many of us are familiar with, but hear this. It says, all this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, God with us. Oh my word, God with us. This is incredible. I invite you, man, if you have heard these words over and over again, or if you're just hearing them tonight, to pause. Allow these words to wash over you in a new and a fresh way. The Creator, the source of all life, the one who spoke existence into being, the omnipotent creative power in the cosmos who brings life into every living thing. This King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the sovereign ruler of heaven and earth, this Jesus, willingly set aside status. He put power away. He sacrificed title and position, all to draw close to what is so much more valuable to him, to you, to me, to we. Paul writes it this way. He says, though he was God, Jesus, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born a human being. You see, you are seen and of infinite value because the infinite God of creation, he gave it all to be with you. To be with you, right? Christmas is the reminder that God believes you are more than enough for him. You're more than enough for him, right? Because for you, he moved heaven and earth. For you, he sacrificed his power and position. And for you, he emptied all his accounts. Why? All to be with us, all to be with you. This is the good news the angels sang to the shepherds on that very first Christmas. As Sarah read earlier, and the angel said to them, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign for you. You will find a baby wrapped in swaddling cloths and lying in a manger." And suddenly, there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace among those with whom he is pleased." The good news that first Christmas morning is the incredible news for you and for me.
My child, I know that you are tired, standing next to measuring sticks, not reaching ever high enough, wondering if you are seen, asking to be known, not feeling ever quite enough. May I tell you something tonight? May I remind you of that very first Christmas message that I brought. It is good news not just for all, but for you. You are so much more than enough. I don't care what the world tells you, how what you do defines who you are, how what you own reflects your worth. No, my child, 1,000 times no. You are enough, not for what you do, not for how you look, not for what you own, and not for who you know. You are enough for me to give away, enough to give away position, enough to sacrifice power, enough to pay it all to be with you. You are worth it all. More than enough for me today, tonight, right now. So much more than you could ever hope or imagine. Because I want you to be convinced. Hear me. I want you to be convinced to the core of who you are. I want you to be convinced that nothing can ever separate you from my love, not death nor life, neither demons nor angels, not your fears for today because you got a lot of them. Or your worries about tomorrow because you got a lot of them. Not even the powers of hell itself can separate you from my love. No power in the sky above or in the earth below. Indeed, nothing in all creation will ever be able to separate you from my love, which has been fully revealed through my Son, Jesus.